up, y'all? Welcome to another review by Ryan. I know that we're all recovering from the greatness that was this past weekend. We saw finales to a number of very cherished shows this season, including Tomodachi Game, Data Live, Spy X Family, Kaguya-sama, just greatness that we've had this season starting to come to an end. And so obviously on this great Wednesday, whatever the date is, June, what the hell is the date? On this great Wednesday, June 29th, we say goodbye officially to the second season of Rising of the Shield Hero. For those who watched my reaction last week and any previous reactions, you know that as the season's gone along, it's become harder and harder for me to defend certain bits of just terror with the way that the pacing of the show was and the way that the story was being portrayed. But nothing could have prepared me quite for the disappointment that I felt with last week's somewhat fake but real finale. So first, I want to make it very clear that I'm probably going to treat last week as the finale of the season, and that the episode we're about to watch today is going to be preparation. It's going to be like the pre-episode to season 3. So with that said, if you want to know how I felt, please go watch last week's episode about how I'm feeling about going into this week. But the basic recap is I'm disappointed. I'm let down. It should have been better. It could have been better, and it wasn't. I really defended Shield Hero throughout the entire duration of this second season. When other people in the community dropped it, I kept with it. I said, hey, author said that the first arc was going to be trash. They regretted writing it. It's fine, not an issue. Second arc will get better. The second arc came, and there were definitely signs of glimmers of hope, going into the Infinite Labyrinth and kind of finding out more about Glass World and this hidden party member that they have. Kizuna is, again, a bundle of joy. I love Kizuna as a character, just like I loved Oz in a way. I feel that these were characters that just, with better writing and better storyboarding with the episodes, they would have felt so much more of an emotional impact they would have been more of an emotional impact on us than they actually ended up being. With Kizuna, though, I definitely think Kizuna was done better than us, but then it was just abruptly over. Everything's done, they go back to their world, so on and so forth, and all of a sudden the heroes have done something great in the other world while they were away in this world, and everything was so abrupt and abhorrently rushed that there's no way in the world that I could sit here and say that last week's finale, despite its moments, was a good episode. And also, I didn't like what they did with, with what they put Yuusha through, with, Naofumi making those comments about her. And I ain't gonna lie, I did laugh with some of them damn comments, because some of them comments was absolutely ridiculous. But trying to make my man Naofumi look like an ass like that and everything, it's just, everything felt just kind of thrown in there. Kyo's past was just kind of thrown in there. Him committing suicide and his reasons for doing all this. And my thing was that we didn't need to know he's just a crazy guy now. He was reincarnated and is crazy as hell. He's a typical mastermind, just a crazy, just mad scientist. So, these events weren't very surprising to anyone, but the way everything was portrayed was absolutely embarrassing. So, going into this final episode, it is very simple. Either we're going to get some substance to the events that have happened this season that will bring me enough back on board that I can give the entire collective season a 6, or it will get a 5. And again, the difference between a pass or fail is between those two. If I give it a 6, it barely passes, but it passes. If I give it a 5, that means the entire season fails. There will be no in between. There will not be a 5.5 awarded today. It will either be a 5 or a 6. If this entire episode is a recap only, so there are no new scenes or just 1 or 2 screenshots of what to look forward to in the third season, then the season will by default fail. It will get an auto fail this episode because this episode won't be counted. The episode will get a 0, and I will only judge this season based on the first 12 episodes, which means it will fail. So it's just so painful, guys. Y'all know how hype I was for this show going, and all of y'all were hyped too. We were all really hyped for another great journey with Naofumi and them. I was really hyped when we got to see Glass show back up, and I really thought we were going to dive really deeply in there. And I realized instantly when we wasted half the season on the Spirit Tortoise side of things that wasn't going to happen. I played myself, and now here we are. So we're here. And we just have to push through to the end now. So as always, I will talk about the rating of the show. First on Mal, the show continues to go down. It looks like it's kind of held steady though between 6.6 and 6.65. It's at a 6.63 right now. And this is right about where the show is probably going to end at. So the second season will end in a really abysmal place compared to what we thought it was going to end. And compared to the other shows this season, it's disappointing seeing that it did so poorly. However, apparently by week ratings, and again, thank you for all of you who voted via Anime Corner. I don't know what y'all saw last week, but apparently y'all thought the show was great enough to keep it in 6. Y'all gonna have to explain that one to me, because I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, Rising of the Shield Hero ranked in 6th place. It did not move from the rank it was in week 11. And I'll be interested to see where it ends up ranking when we get what should probably be the final week results this coming week. I don't know if they do week 13 or just go straight into the seasonal final ratings, but we'll see. But alas, it ranked 6. So yeah, I don't have a lot of motivation going into this episode, and I'll be very fair. If I look like I do not care, if I look just over it, it's probably because the episode is launched into a recap and I just don't care for it. But I'll always give hope, and this is coming from someone that I wanted to love this second season so much. Like many of you, I loved and adored the first season of Rising of the Shield Hero so much. And I talked about what I think things went wrong with throughout the other reactions. And once we get through this episode, I'll talk a little bit more about, why I think things fundamentally went wrong with the show. So, enough talking. It's time to watch the season finale. The title of today's season finale will be Flowers Offered and Recollection. And once I get my headphones on, we will get this started. And let's get this season finale started in 3, 2, 1. Oops. Okay, so we are continuing where we left off after they saw the queen. Okay. Okay, so we're starting our journey now. Maybe not a recap? Okay. Okay, we get an illustration. I like it. I do like that they got to keep the familiar. Oh, you can't fly? Oh, that's right. No, you can't. That's right. I forget. That was something exclusive to that world. Yeah. Can y'all do that, though? Yeah, because you're really going to have to. Right, so we have now gone back. Yeah, you do that, Kizuna. Oh my goodness. No, not at all. Bruh. I called this man a straight lolicon. What in the heck? Yo, she's in the, I swear, she just like us. Whole pervert. Well, no, I mean, he's literally her father, so yeah, of course. You know, it's. I just really wanted to see the two sides get to interact more. We were just cut so short. And literally, Nafmi and them rolled up in there and literally just dismantled it in a day. Crazy. Honestly, it would have been a paradise for me. I don't like people anyway. I know this really had to be rough because literally she was there for years. I just don't know how she didn't lose her mind in all that time. Because she wouldn't seem like the type of person. Wow. Wow, that food won't look it. Yeah, she seems like the type of person that would definitely like to have a group more often. And then that's when she realized. Yep. Damn. So she did try to kill herself in there. I mean, again, I can't imagine. That's because Salt be saving everything. And now it's them. I'm surprised you made it all them years. That's unfortunately what happens when you lose your way like that. Nah, I'd rather us not have to remember that. I don't care about him. I don't need a flashback with him. I don't care. Lord have mercy. Like, you like what? The struggles. The struggles. Everyone's losing it. Yeah, goodness knows now that you're back, Glass gonna lose her mind if we lose you again. Oh my goodness, you're gonna get everyone killed! Bro, she really was about to yeet them off the damn cliff. And maybe she would have been, with better writing. Let me stop. I gotta let it go. Oh, that scene, yeah. Yeah. Had my girl set up. Are we sure about this? Bruh. You want to be more than his sword, though. I. Oh my goodness. You really don't need to know, Fila. Go sit down. We just had to use the word mate. Oh man. Us! Us! Stop! You need to stop. You need to. This is a train wreck. Let's. Lord. Okay. I still just can't feel any sadness because of how that scene was, how all that was done. And I wish I could. Just better writing would have made all the difference for her character. Yeah, is that it? I know we have a little time left. Well, as we wait for this to finish up, I think I have my rating between the 5 and the 6, what it's going to be. I think. I still didn't feel any emotions to the fact that they were going to say goodbye to us, and which really sucks. It really sucks. I can't say that enough how I wanted to feel more emotion there, but I just couldn't. Oh no, literally it's just going to be the song. Okay, so this is really it. His allies are still on a long way to... Honestly, I didn't even have a chance to finish reading what that said. And if they're going to show this song at the end... You know what? Okay. I'm going to go put some eye drops in this still healing eye and then talk about how I feel. Be right back. Alright, I'm back, guys. So, opinions about this final episode. So, it was a recap, but there were scenes that were not given in the regular, in the 12 episode run that we had leading up to this final episode that were included. Getting to see more into the getting the crew new clothes and gear, and then we even got the little swimsuit thing thrown in there and the little scandalous stuff that Kizuna was trying to do. But above all, we also got to dive just a little bit deeper into the struggles that Kizuna was really going through in the Infinite Labyrinth. And that was one thing that I did think was a major flaw, was, you know, not really understanding what it is that she went through all of those years in there. She had to make her own, you know, friend, and she did try to kill herself, and I'm confident that she probably tried multiple times to kill herself in that labyrinth. I mean, any one of us that isn't me probably would have tried to, because that would have just been paradise for me. Screw it. Civilization's already wasted anyway, so let me stop. I need to behave. I'm in a stream. I can't talk about that right now. But 6. I said if this was a recap of previous events that had already happened, then the season would be failed and it would get a 6. Since I got a little more in-depthness there into this final episode, I'll give it a 6. But I want to put it on record here that if the same mistakes that were made with this season are made with season 3, I could rank the show 5 or lower in the future. And at any time, I could decide with this show that I will come back to my season 2 rating and revise it. And, you know, the positives were that when we got, the positives really were all once we got to Glass World. There just was enough substance there that I feel just kind of got rushed, that it did make up enough from the blunders of the first half of the season that to give it a failing score, in my opinion, wouldn't be appropriate, since I did have laughter and certain bits of enjoyment here and there, enough that I don't want to completely throw that in the garbage and say that the show failed at a 5. Because if I give it a 5, that means I have to, even with the scenes that we got, which I did appreciate seeing in this final episode, I would have to throw all those away and just declare that the whole show failed. That even though these scenes happened, you know, they weren't enough to really save any aspect of this season, which would be a lie. Now, I have a friend that she disagrees with me. She said the season's a 5. It failed. It didn't do it. It didn't hit the marks. It didn't do anything. And in my opinion, I feel that another one of my saving graces for this season was Ast and Kizuna, and getting to meet these side characters. And I hate to say it, even Mastermind Kyo himself. Again, there's a show called Symphogear that I watch, where I want to bring that up because there's a very similar type character there that's also an evil scientist mastermind. And I'm cool with these characters because they're straight up. Like, there's no mystery about who they are, what they're about. They're just straight up crazy. And they typically tend to bring some level of excitement or fear to a series when these type of characters are present. So, and that applies to him too. I feel that the whole flashback thing was relatively stupid, but I will also give it that it's nice that when she was describing her little laughing moment with Kyo, when before he went completely crazy and went to Nafumi's world to deal with the spirit tortoise, that they didn't really show that because obviously none of us care. None of us want to see another picture with him on the screen. And the fact that I really didn't want to means I have to give credit where credit is due. That, you know, he filled his role, and he filled his role relatively well. But again, the major issues here was just, first off, Yuusha. I was talking with this again with the same friends I was just talking about, also about Yuusha's performance and the fact that she could have had this all wrapped up literally at the beginning of them going to where before we even got to the end of episode 6. This could have been wrapped up because clearly she got the strength and the capability to be able to deal with him. He was terrified of her, so we could have just wrapped this up ages ago. But it was just so much abruptness. There was just abrupt things throughout this whole season with no true ability for us to gain an emotional attachment. And that sucks. That sucks for Off's character. That sucks for it sucks for Kizana's character, and it just sucks for the purposes of this story and the story that it was trying to show. And I do believe that this was because the second season and the third season got split, and they ended up with an episode restriction. That said, I have watched shows with only 13 episodes. I just finished watching one. Actually, I just recently, finally, after so many years, watched Made in Abyss, 13 episode first season. Yet, that 13 episodes was just paled in comparison different from the 13 episodes that we just got with this second season. And those type of shows really showed that even with episode restrictions and, not having a lot to work with, you can make a masterful show with limited time. Unfortunately, I feel that we wasted too much time with the first arc, and that the second arc should have been able to claim a few of those episodes. We should have just wrapped up the first arc in a couple of episodes and focused more and included these segments that they showed us in this 13th episode in those episodes 6, 7, 8, 9 with the Infinite Labyrinth, with them first going out and getting clothes and stuff like that. I feel that we should have just included it in those segments, and that actually would have been received better and had a more emotional impact on us, the watchers, the viewers of this show. So with that said, this does conclude the second season, and I went into this episode planning a 5. I did. I was planning a 5, and now that I've watched this last episode and saw that there was definitely glimmers of hope that I wish just had been included in the season itself, I'll bump it to a 6, painfully. And that's still a very disappointing score compared to what I walked into this show planning to give it. But I will admit that there were certain bits that I liked just enough that I'll put the show into the 6 realm. I'll give it that bare passing grade. But this type of grace that I'm going to give my rating, that I'm going to give the second season, I will not give the third season. I will be incredibly critical on this third season when it does come out next year. If the third season makes the same mistakes that this second season made, I will be a lot more unforgiving. And not only will I be a lot more unforgiving with that rating, but I will also adjust my season 2 rating appropriately too. So with that said, guys, there's not much more to talk about. We all have our feelings with how this season went, and most of those feelings aren't really good. I don't know, with now many of the behemoth shows being out of the rankings right now, I don't know if Shield Hero will or will not remain in the top 10 for Anime Corner. It is possible that it still might, because several shows are now exiting and are no longer going to be in the rating category. But we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much, though, for watching my reactions, for those who did watch it. And, for better or worse, I hope you guys found some level of enjoyment out of this season, despite the travesty that was episode 12 and the fact that episode 13 did the best that it could with what it had to work with to make up from episode 12's travesty. So with that said, that concludes my reactions to the Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy the reaction and the dialogue and want to see more content, please like the video and consider liking the channel. If you want to be one of the first to be notified when a new reaction becomes available, hit the bell icon. It's been a pleasure. And until next season, Season 3, that will come out next year for Rising of the Shield Hero, catch you later. Hey guys, so wanted to just add on to the end of the season finale reaction to let you know, while I was starting to put together my reaction video, which had very limited reactions because I was relatively over half of the season finale, I really sat and thought about the structure of the story and the storyboarding issues that were present, comparing it to other shows that had a phenomenal presentation this spring season, in a season where flaws just could not be present, especially with a show that was at such a high pedestal as this one was. I really thought about the 6 out of 10 that I just gave the show, which is the bare minimum I need for passing it. And I think I'm going to have to fail the show, guys. At the helm of things, The 13th episode definitely gave me a little more comical moments that I would have definitely that I definitely did enjoy, and it helped with those characters that they applied to marginally, but collectively, it needed to be in the episodes that they were supposed to be part of, and I feel that storyboarding was an even bigger issue than just the story writing with this, so the way that they arrange scenes to be put in place. We've had plenty of shows over time that we've watched, Made in Abyss, Horimiya, plenty of 13 episode shows that even though they have limited runs and in some cases may only have one season to them, these are shows that relatively do a great job at showing their story, and that's thanks to maturity of story writing and maturity of the person who's putting the story together, aka storyboarding. And these things were not present in Shield Hero. Yes, even though the author themselves might have stated that this first arc of this this first arc of this second season was definitely one of the worst arcs they wrote to the story. There are ways that you can write an arc or write a story that will still make it have some level of an impact with the fans. And at the end of it, what we saw was incredibly sloppy storyboarding and just an overall inconsistencies throughout the entire presentation of really both arcs of Shield Hero. Even with the things that happened in the second arc with Glass's world and things obviously being a little more, you really starting to feel that things are finally getting to be at stake. There was just too much left out. The speedrunner definitely needs to be spoken about a lot more, because the speedrunner that they did, particularly through the way that they did Raphtalia. Now, here's the deal. Because I'm not a light novel reader, I didn't care about the fact that Raphtalia showed up when she did, where she was with them when they first got to the world, compared to what y'all said that she was not present when they first got to the world and they had to find her, and then they eventually found her with Glass in them. That was I didn't care about that because I was okay with her being there. We got to see little Raphtalia again, and then it definitely gives you more of an emotional hit when she's taken away in the way that she was, because she was there, she was safe, and now she's not safe. And while not for me would have been stressed, I feel that the way they did that was fine. But there were just glaring issues with how fast they paced through major points that really would have made this 13 episode season just better. And at that, we wouldn't have even needed a need for a recap episode had they included those specific scenes, like the girls in the swimming suits and everything about Kyo and his past and Kizia and her being stuck in the world that she was in, being in that infinite labyrinth. These things would have all been just portrayed so much better if these points that they put in episode 13 had just been put with those episodes. And then we had the final fight and showdown in this final episode, and then they wrap it up. It would have just made a lot of sense. And then having the Shield Hero emblem at the end would have been so much better. So with all those things considered and some other things that I'm sure there'll be plenty of other reactioners that will dive a little deeper into those flaws, I'm going to downgrade to a failing score. This season did not pass. It didn't pass. And I've tried for 13 weeks to find it in my heart to pass it. I even passed it at the end of this initial reaction, and I now have arrived at a point that I can no longer do so. This wasn't a good season. There was no emotional connection to anyone really that was introduced, and while the character designs were good, the connections mean everything when it comes to shows nowadays, especially with the way that I judge anime now, and the connections just weren't there. I felt nothing for anyone who died in this season. I felt literally nothing when we gave the flowers for Ost at the end of this episode. And it just is one of those things where I have to accept that one of the most anticipated shows of this year fell flat, and it needs to get a score appropriate to that. So with that said, The Rising of the Shield Hero second season will get a 5 out of 10. It will fail, and I hope for improvements from the third season. So sorry guys, I thought I was going to be able to keep it at the rating I was, but things happen and you just kind of got to do what you got to do. So with that said, I do hope things do improve in the third season, and until that time comes, I'll catch you at that time.